With 9 suspected cases testing negative so far, as health professionals begin to speak up, demanding emergency deployment of adequate resources.
It's a very sad and pathetic situation. Let's do real things rather than this cosmetic. You see them like this thing has happened. You see all kinds of people wearing coat all over the place. This 2.5 million will get dissipated in no time.
We'll hear from head of virology at the Noguchi Memorial Institute, who has this warning for health officials in charge of making the needed resources available.
Let's not beat around the bush. This virus is going around the world. It will get here sooner or later.
So are you saying that it's a matter of when and not if?
Exactly. It will get here.
This is Top Story with Evans Mensah.
And Top Story is always brought to you by Bond Savings and Loans. Your success, our passion, also brought to you by Gassem Cement, the nation builder, and Vodafone. The future is exciting, ready. Sad and pathetic. That is how the head of public health described Ghana's preparedness when 2 suspected cases of the deadly coronavirus checked in at Ghana's premier teaching hospital, Kolebu, last night. The Ghana Medical Association's Greater Accra secretary, who works at the facility, Dr. Wilfred Barr, described how doctors and nurses panicked when they realized that they may be dealing with the virus.
And when they got to call, now everybody is, I'll see people sending me a lot of text messages. Hey, we hear there's a suspected case. There's panic. What is the reporting like?
And this is important because this is among health professionals.
Yes.
So if the health professionals are panicking.
Yes. And they have they have the right to, because everybody is scared.
Now, the health ministry is tonight confirming that they have tested 9 cases, which have all turned out negative. So, no cause for concern, but the head of virology department at Noguchi Memorial Institute, the only place in Ghana where we can test for the virus, is warning tonight that it is just a matter of time before the virus gets to Ghana. And listen to Professor William Ampofo.
Influenza is a respiratory-borne virus. And anytime you sit in an airplane and somebody is coughing, you have a high chance of getting flu. It's winter across the Atlantic Ocean. Anytime any flight comes in, there are a couple of respiratory viruses that will be coming in. So it is very difficult to prevent the entry of a respiratory pathogen. Let's not beat around the bush. I think, yes, there will be, screening. There will be thermal screening. They'll be looking out for people with fever, etc. But this virus is going around the world. It will get here sooner or later. We have improved our capacity to look out for viruses. We have a system in place, the Ghana Health Service, Sentinel Service, for people showing up with influenza-like illness. This will enable us to pick up, pathogens such as influenza, such as coronavirus. We've done this before. Pilgrims coming back from the Hajj have been screened for the MERS coronavirus, so this is not new. We found coronaviruses in people who have respiratory illness. So this new one, yes, we need to get the capacity to be able to detect it and manage it.
You just said there that we might get it sooner or later. Are you saying that it's a matter of when and not if?
Exactly. I mean, in 2009, when we had the new H1N1 virus, influenza virus, that was a new strain. It took 3-4 months, but it came to Africa. And it's now the virus that is associated with influenza all year round. So the facts are clear. I mean, when we have a new respiratory virus, it does take some time, but it will go around and the immunity will build up. We'll find a vaccine. We will develop appropriate programs, but it will get here.
Well, on the back of that warning, there are demands from across the health scene, really, from the leadership of many of these key institutions. We are hearing tonight from RIDGE, one of 2 facilities designated to deal with a potential outbreak. The leader there is speaking tonight about the need for additional resources. We'll hear that shortly. We're also hearing from Kolebu, where the leadership there are also describing a pretty difficult situation and, in fact, calling out politicians and those in charge of the resources to move beyond the rhetoric to make the resources available. Those are the two key institutions, but there is obviously the Noguchi Memorial Institute, the only place we can test. The two suspected cases that really raised the alarm levels last night were sent to Noguchi. They had done the testing, and they say it is positive. Good news there. We can now. It's negative. Forgive me. It's negative, which means that it's not what we fear to be. Coronavirus. That is the firm word from the Noguchi Memorial Institute tonight. So, of course, no cause for concern as of tonight because Noguchi says it is negative. However, Professor Ampofo, who is the director of virology there, says they are in need of emergency deployment of resources, and the government officials who are really responsible for this must make, he says, cash available now for the purchasing of the requisite equipment and logistics before any potential case is recorded in Ghana.
Making efforts to improve our testing capacity is a bit limited at the moment, but we'll do what we can. Over.
What would it take for you to get you to full ready?
Cash, plenty cash.
Plenty cash. Can you quantify now?
Well, I mean, to test 1,000 people, you need to put resources in place. You need to work, 6 shifts, round the clock if you want testing, because it takes 6 hours to test a batch of samples. It's not that easy. You have to have full PPE. So I've just given you in a nutshell. You have to have search capacity. You have to have staff trained. You have to have the protocols working. So usual stuff to do with a pandemic situation, outbreak situation.
Is it right for me to say that you haven't received enough resourcing to get you to where you would feel adequately prepared?
Yeah, this outbreak started, towards the end of December. We just had a crisis meeting at the presidency. Resources have been released, and we hope that they will get to us, because when you order supplies, reagents, it takes about, at least, even if you are doing courier and whatever, it takes some time, So we wish that things would move faster. Over.
Help us understand how urgently must we do this, knowing what you know elsewhere and happening across the globe?
It's easy to do with 7, 10, 20 cases. When it gets to 50, 100, then you're looking at contact tracing. You're looking at hundreds of samples. And, of course, then you need, a lot more resources to process 20, 30 samples in 6 hours.
So that is the case with the Noguchi Memorial Institute. That's what they need. Cash, he says, to make the appropriate purchases now. What about Ridge Hospital? Remember that, the Accra Regional Hospital, as is formerly called now, is one of two designated centers. It's that and the Tema General Hospital designated as places where if a case emerges, will be sent for appropriate treatment and handling. We're hearing now from the director there, who is speaking about the lack of adequate technical personnel in case they have to deal with this particular virus. Listen to the medical director, Dr. Emmanuel Srofenyo, who is speaking today.
All these people have to be trained ahead of time. We cannot just subject them to the environment when they have not been given adequate training. So we have security men on board, we have orderlies on board, we have doctors on board, and we have nurses on board. The implication then is that these staffs are staff who work in the main hospital. So when we deploy them here, there's going to be shortage on that side. And that is why we would like to use this medium to also appeal to the government to send us more of the technical staff, especially the nurses and then additional doctors, so that the preparedness plan can really work. Because much as we are treating these patients that may come, we don't also want to compromise on the work that is done on the main side.
So that is the story with the Ridge Hospital, the Accra Greater Accra Regional Hospital, telling us what they also require immediately. But the case at Kolebu is, I guess, even more profound. Dr. Philip Amu, who is the head of public health at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, and his men were in the front line last night dealing with this suspected case, and he was pretty frustrated with what currently exists at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, and he is demanding urgent intervention right now, even raising concerns about the reported 2.5 million that the health minister says has been made available. He's fearing that if adequate measures aren't taken right now, that money will be dissipated without actual benefit reflecting on the ground to deal with this virus if it gets here.
Situation, the problem is by walking into the holding bay of a national strategic center like Kolebu, where we have very complicated patients moving from all over the country. In the night, if you come to Kolebu, it's no joke. That whole area was on lockdown yesterday. Up to this morning, the whole place has been locked down. No new patient. Yesterday night there was, hard work to rearrange the system, the flow, and everything was done as it should be, so that we will minimize contamination.
So we understand the test kits take 6 hours. Should we not have had the results by now?
No. So the processing, you see, there's difference between talk and actual thing, practice. Ghanaians like, smooth, but they are also having the test situation now. This is the first time they are being challenged with this corona. But there are key challenges. Kolebu is a very busy environment, very sick people. When people are suspected, they are supposed to be sent away immediately to a central holding bay. So by activating the system, we check on the holding bay. The holding bay is in a state of use now. And we've appealed to national level, to come in and help Kolebu. Normally, you all heard that some money has been released by Ministry of Finance to help, in
combat coronavirus, the 2.5 million.
Yes, but normally what happens is you will see all these all kinds of structures. Oh, we have Greater Accra team, we have this one team. National, some virtual things going on, and the whole money get blown up. And the actual things that should have been thoughtfully and systematically put in on the ground to deal with the issue. For example, all this is going on. Kolebu is not part of the. Meanwhile, Kolebu is a national strategic asset. When people walk into, other clinic and they suspect, they will not talk. They will send them like they send these two gentlemen to Kolebu. And if Kolebu is not helped to be able to pick up these people quickly and move them away from the crowd. Yesterday night, it was very sad sight to see. When referrals were coming, serious cases we should have taken care of. Most of them is a sentence of death when Kolebu returns them. They have nowhere going. All these big hospitals talking, it's English they are talking. When the real thing comes in the night and you come to Kolebu Emergency Center and you see the cases pouring, you feel very sorry for us. So I'm pleading with the ministry through your medium that let's stop this national, we have this one, regional, this virtual kind of thing. At the end of the day, that does not dovetail down to practical issues on the ground. Kolebu will have to be prioritized, and our central holding bay we should be helped to put our central holding bay into shape so that any case arriving in Kolebu is moved away from the active, busy area, not to bring the whole situation under lockdown like we have seen from yesterday up to now. It's a very sad and pathetic situation. I also plead, let us do real thing. Ghana, let us do all, people who have power over national resources. Let's do real thing rather than this cosmetic. You see them, I think, running around like this thing has happened. You see all kinds of people wearing coats. People made themselves spokes agents all over the place. This 2.5 million will get dissipated in no time, and nothing concrete happens on the ground. And then we'll be back to square one, like happening with the Ebola preparation and so on.
I want to take you to the Kolebu Teaching Hospital now, where the two suspected cases were initially dealt with, and my colleague, head of the health desk, Fred Smith, has spent all day tracking and following this story for us, and Fred is with me in the studio. Are these two gentlemen still at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital?
Well, Evans, in the last few minutes I got word that they've been discharged, so they're on their way home.
Fantastic. I mean, so that's good news. It confirms what the Gucci had said, which is negative, and so please don't panic. It's if they've been discharged, it just tells you we are in the clear, at least for now. What do we know about them?
Well, these two both reported headache and pain in the neck. That was just yesterday. And so the Chinese, he has not gone to China since September last year. He's been in Ghana all through, and he, we are told, is doing very well. As of this afternoon, he had fully recovered. He's the one who, we are told, left the facility and later had to come back. I'm sure we'll be talking about that later.
I mean, so that was...
yes, let me talk about the Argentine.
Yes, okay.
He also had headache and also pain in the neck. As of this afternoon, I'm told that he was still complaining about pain in his throat. I do not know that as at this time that is completely gone, for which reason the two of them have been discharged.
But that's real good news. Let's talk about the thing what you touched on. Presumably they were in quarantine, correct?
Indeed they were.
Since yesterday. Yes. I mean, after the initial panic, they eventually got round to knowing what to do. But however, as you just pointed, we learned that while they're supposed to be in quarantine, one of them escaped.
Yes, the Chinese, we're told, left the facility, and according to the sources who spoke to us, it took the intervention of the police to get them back, to get him back to the quarantine area. That has been, denied by officials. They're saying that the man simply went out to get some food.
But even that is serious, right? You're supposed to be in quarantine. How do you leave the quarantine? Even if it's for food, how do you leave quarantine? And remember, this is the period when they are sent the samples for testing.
Indeed.
Right? So we didn't know whether he had
what the situation was,
whether he had coronavirus or whether he didn't have the coronavirus. And he left to go and buy food.
Indeed. So this is very embarrassing for the officials, and so nobody, Evans, if you realize, nobody wants to say this on record. Very embarrassing situation.
And it confirms what the Director of Public Health at Kolebu says, that the holding area they have for this purpose, it was in a state of disrepair. These are his words, when they try to activate the place. And so truly, Kolebu doesn't have a properly functioning holding area where they can hold people suspected to have an infectious disease. Let's talk about the lockdown, because the Director of Public Health says yesterday when the thing happened, we learned about the panic, but eventually the entire place was on lockdown. You've been there today. Well, what's the situation?
Well, that's the same information we picked up from some of the staff. Again, the facility has since been open to the public, and therefore since 6 a.m. I saw people coming in and using the facility as normal. What I discovered, though, which wasn't normal at that place, was the presence of the police. I saw fully armed officers from the counterterrorism unit of the police service, and I know them because I've done some work with them. I know them. They were stationed there for a very long time, and I asked about that, but no official will confirm to me that they're there simply to ensure that these two men do not escape from the facility.
Now, we've heard today, I mean, the nature of the concern that the doctors were in, health professionals, nurses, everybody was in this panic situation. There have been a meeting today, deliberately in an attempt to calm the Kolebu community of health professionals and doctors. You witnessed that. You were part of this meeting. What can you tell us about how the meeting went?
Well, this meeting was actually a summit organized by the hospital to try and update the knowledge of the health workers. So the experienced ones amongst them came in to share their experiences on how they've dealt with certain cases, and so that's what we're doing. But as the panic went on, it became necessary for them to have to bring in the Ghana Health Service officials, and so the Ghana Health Service Director General was required to have been there, but due to all of these things happening around, he was too busy, dealing with it, and so his deputy was asked to come in to address the staff, and he assured them. He first gave the news that this test at Noguchi turned out negative.
We are in an evolving outbreak. A lot of things are going to change, but let's try and have a concerted effort, and then we can address the challenge that will occur. So we are happy that the case that occurred in Kolebu was early fixed. Very look at the case definition for the wholly sickness, but I think the clinicians thought that it could be coronavirus. So to be as a country, currently as a country, we have picked 9 cases and all the 9 are negative. So there's no coronavirus in Ghana now. But I want to assure all of us that let's be vigilant.
So that is Mr. Bekwing there, who is the deputy in charge of public health at the Ghana Health Service.
He's also the head of disease surveillance at the Ghana Health Service. Also
at this particular meeting was the chief executive of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital.
Yes, he is also assuring the staff that they've been able to procure enough PPEs, personal protective equipment, to help them.
Because yesterday that was an issue, right?
It was an issue yesterday, so the assurance was that they have enough to keep them safe.
I want to appeal to all of you, especially the frontline staff. They've supplied a lot of PPE, and it's gone to the public health. The Director of Nursing Service and DMA to see to the distribution to make sure that everyone gets the PPE. The government does not need to give us money. They will have to support that. Listen, nobody will use this to give me money. The monetization must stop now. I don't want anybody. This is not a program. All of us are in the team. So with that, you are assured Ghana is safe. Kolebu is safe. We don't have coronavirus. We have enough PPE to go for everybody. Thank you very much.
And that's the CEO of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. On the line with me right now is the Director of Public Health with the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Bedu Sarkodie. Dr. Sarkodie, thank you for your time here on Top Story.
Thank you very much for calling.
Thank you, sir. We've just been listening to some of your colleagues heading.
Indeed,
heading.
A lot of discuss have gone on.
Exactly. I mean, they have.
Listen very, very carefully.
Yeah, they have a lot of concerns. What do you say to all the concerns from Rage to Noguchi to Kolebu?
Indeed, I agree with most of the concerns, except there are a few comments that might have come from one of the colleagues, the Public Health Director at Kolebu. And I'll come back to that. Clearly, I do admit that preparedness, there is cost component, and as much as possible, the leadership has to do everything possible to provide the needed support and resources for all the various facilities that are put in structures to enhance our capacity to address the issues that we have on hand. We are building on the legacy of Ebola, and at that time, quite a number of things were put in place, and there are still quite a number of gaps. And the challenge of preparedness is that you may put an item in place, you may not use it, and then it may have to run down just like that if you don't meet the condition. And that does not mean that we should not be prepared. And we need to commit resources to this, particularly the situation with all the various structures. The national structure for public health emergencies starts with surveillance, where we keep watch using case definition and strengthen systems so that should a case happen, using case definition, you get the suspected case, you do the initial screening, probable case to confirm it. And then you go through processes for laboratory testing. So laboratory testing is very key, and all these things require consumables. These things you buy, you don't know when the case will be sent to you, but you have to get some of these reagents readily available. It has been very sharp on the part of Noguchi, trying to mobilize some of these regions so that quickly we can do the test here in the country. And that is commendable on their part. And as much as possible, the needed support, I am aware that with the support of the Minister of Health, working very closely with the Minister of Finance, I think what is required to be provided to Noguchi, the ministry is doing everything possible.
But they don't have anything. I mean, you don't have the assurance. The monies you assured. The prop says they don't have it yet.
No, indeed, that's what I'm saying. That the ministry is trying to facilitate that. And indeed, I have just had discussion with the DG, and if there is something that we can even give in advance to them, as we are waiting for the support that they came as a pledge from. That came as a release from the ministry, from the presidency. You need to speed up on this. So I've requested that the Director General should look at essential areas and provide some front loading to these people so that when this money comes, it goes to replace. So that is being done. So I believe by late today, which is too late, by close of tomorrow, Noguchi will at least have something in hand. We keep discussing with Professor Ampopo and his team what are the essential. You may not be able to provide the entire front loading of everything, but then some of the things to get the essential primaries and the consumables. I think by tomorrow that will be addressed. And then
what about Kolebu?
All the Kolebu, you heard the CEO mentioning that the
PPEs.
Yes, they have quite a number for now. Earlier, they have all the PPEs, again, the distribution. Looking at all the various health facilities within the country, ideally, each of them should have some PPEs readily available. So it is always difficult to have so huge a number for each of them, so that a place like Kolebu, the understanding is that they should have some reasonable quantity that initially they will use when the system is triggered. And as much as possible, the understanding is they have some limited number. While that has been used, a lot more has to be added. And just yesterday and this morning, quite a lot more have been added to the PPE stock of Kolebu.
But the concern he has is the holding center one, for example. It's in the state of disrepair, Professor. Dr. Amu tells us, and that it's simply not ready. He says it's sad and pathetic.
It's unfortunate. See, the legacy of the Ebola, all the regional hospitals, all the teaching hospitals, each of them were given quite a significant amount to keep holding place and maintain them. The situation, I'm sorry, it's coming from Dr. Amon because he has a responsibility to hold the public health structures and infrastructures in Kolebu. Well, he has mentioned this is not a time for bantam. You work closely with him and see how quickly, working through the Director General, the Ministry will support what structures need to be put in place in Kolebu to ensure that the needed public health infrastructure that have to be refurbished and then put in good status or stand will be done.
I'm grateful, sir, for joining us. That is the Director of Public Health at the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Bedusa Akodia there. Just be safe out there. Take the precautions. I'm sure you've heard from the Ghana Health Service. No need to panic. The suspected cases have been dealt with. Testing has been done, proved negative. In fact, the Chinese and the Argentine have all been discharged. So no need to panic. Just make sure you take the precautions. Wash your hands. Block your nose if you're coughing. All the things you've heard already, just do it and be safe.